And we are back live once again here on the Cowboys Report. We had the Sunday non-live day, so we're back live again after being live on Thursday through Saturday plus today. I'm Tom Downey, producer Chris Daughtry behind the scenes on today's show. A bit of a shorter live show. We won't go the normal 4 segments. We'll stick with the 3 because we did put out the Mel Kiper draft grades earlier this morning. Last chance to really sound off. You have had plenty of time to think and consider everything. Grade the Cowboys draft class. A, B, C, D, or F. This is also the pinned poll on today's show. Overwhelming majority voting A/B. 44% voting A, 48% voting B, 7% voting C, 2% just voting D or F. So I'd given it a B+ grade, which I think that's what that pin poll says. Almost all Bs, almost all As. In that A-, B+ range there. So A, B, C, D, or F. Grade that Cowboys draft class for me in the comments of today's show. 8% voting not A or B. And now it's almost 50% at the B side, which I find not that surprising. That's how I felt about it right afterwards. And really how I felt about it after day 2. I really liked the day 2 draft class, and day 3 was pretty darn solid as well. So A+, A, B, C, D, or F. Get those comments in. We have a super chat menu, by the way, today. $5. You are entered into the Micah decision pool if you Venmo me at What's Going Downey. We have the 4 entry Going Downey on Venmo. If you want to predict the date Micah signs, or I guess gets traded as a possibility there. And then closest one gets to split the pot. So $10 for baby name submissions. I will text my wife your baby name suggestion, and I will read it off on air. I should also make sure I charge my phone before that potentially runs the risk of dying midstream and not getting the response back. Last one we sent her was the coldest, and her response was the stupidest. So pretty funny. $20 for the Bean Boozled, $50 for the beer bong. Looks like it's going to be Nandor Bank in a runaway, but most hundreds in the month of April gets the DeMarvion Overshown jersey. He's at, I believe, 12 right now, so that's a lot. He had a big, because we were counting Venmo's count double during the draft, and he came through with a lot there. So reminder, by the way, of the Micah decision pool. Pick the day Micah signs or gets traded, whatever the decision is, provided it happens this year. Chatsports.com/Micah. You can see all the entries. At What Going Downey on Venmo, just $5 to enter, and we'll do a 50-50 split the pot for the winner. All right, what was your favorite Cowboys draft pick this year? You got 9 of them. Favorite Dallas Cowboys draft pick? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. And we'll give some shout-outs here as well. People calling it it is the Great Wall of Tyler in the end. That's what they're hoping to build this time around. I'm eventually going to send out a tweet of, Cooper Beebe is legally changing his name to Tyler to secure his job status long term. Also, I haven't seen any projected top picks named Tyler along the offensive line. Chris, do you know what Caden Proctor's middle name is though? It's Tyler. That's the Bama offensive tackle who should end up being really good. Should primed for a big-time breakout season is what's coming on that one there. Jaden Blue, Savone Revel, Jaden Blue. When we didn't draft Shadur. Toyea, Blue, and then we got Tyler Beebe, Tyler Steele all in there. Yeah, it's kind of funny how that works out. More Jaden Blues, another Jaden Blue. I'm sure there's some Texas fans overlap here, but I get it. Gives you some explosiveness you haven't had in the backfield, which you needed. In the backfield as well. Another Jaden Blue. That tracks with the views. You can always tell what the popular draft picks are on the stream because they get more views. People are excited about it. Blue Mafia. Blue Mafia, maybe we'll call it. I don't know. Keaton Crawford. All of them. Booker. Let's see. No, someone said Tyler Ferguson. It's funny. They're going to change the entire team's name to Tyler in the end. Big fan of Davin Ezraku. Me too. I think Ravel, relative to the grade, grade and where he was picked, was the best value. But I thought Ezraku, I thought there was a real chance that he was going to go like 19th overall, and I would have been like, okay, I had him at 28. I don't mind it at all. Should have gone in the first round, and he ends up going 44. If anything, I thought it was going to be too high on, or too low on Ezraku. So I like that one a lot. Max Finnegan. Hey, Tom, do we give Tyler Booker a better grade knowing he was on the IMG team that beat Bishop Sycamore 58-0? Yeah, I've never actually watched the Bishop Sycamore documentary the way I wanted to. I'm sure it is. I can't get the wife to do it. She's like, that I get enough football already. So, it's very funny. Obviously, they're not gonna change the grade on that one. Although IMG Academy produces a lot of good players. Go figure, and it's our high school dedicated to playing football. Ends up being good. All right, name a wide receiver who you want the Cowboys to add, because wide receiver 2 very clearly remains a focal point and an area of need for this Cowboys team. There's not a lot of realistic options that I think you could claim are upgrades, but name a wide receiver who you want to add. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. What are the odds of back-to-back Jerry Rice options? Did not foresee that one there. Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Elijah Moore, or Amari Cooper. Several Isaiah Bonds in there. There is a super chat on Isaiah Bond that we will get to. The answer is no. Super thanks, excuse me. The answer is no. I can't sign somebody who is in an active case for sexual assault. Like, I can't do it. That's why no one signed him yet. That is a, let's check it again once the legal stuff plays out, and then we'll go from there. Right now, you can't do it. Also, I had a 4th round grade on him going in, and there were already character concerns around Isaiah Bond. Like, Chris is over there shaking his head as the former Bama guy. If there's anything you want to chime in with of what you've heard, I think now's the time to do it there, Chris, over the overall.
My man just wants money. That's all. He didn't catch the 4th and 31 pass. I don't know who it was, but it wasn't Isaiah Bond.
Wait a minute. Come on.
I think it was Kobe Prentice, to be honest.
No, it wasn't. Stop it. Stop it.
You know what's funny? I just looked it up, too. Jahad Campbell was on that IMG team as well.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
That's pretty funny. George Pickens, Allen, Pickens or Wilson, Allen, Cortland Sutton in a trade. I don't think the Sutton one is happening. That somehow went from, like, fun fan idea to, like, getting framed as real reporting to having to get debunked as real reporting. It was very weird how that one developed. It was just an idea, which is not a bad thing. I have no issues with that at all. Tyreek, I don't know, man. Tyreek and Pickens, different levels. Like I don't know if I want to deal with that. It just feels like a lot to have to handle, and I don't know if that's what Schottenheimer wants. In a way, I kind of feel like this year they kind of pivoted back to the old RKG, the right kind of guy. So a lot of these picks are like right kind of guy. Right? Not all of them, but most of them are like right kind of guy, team captain stuff. Get a wide receiver named Tyler. Now we're talking. All right, if you guys enjoyed our NFL draft coverage, then like the show for me. Let me know. It's free. It's simple. We were live for, I don't know how many hours we were live for, Chris, but I know that it was a lot of them. So did grades, did UDFAs. We'll do UDFA grades too because we're sickos on that front. So if you enjoyed our draft coverage, help us out. Like today's show. Coming up on today's live edition of the Cowboys Report, we'll go through some buzz, some rumors, bordering on news, frankly, coming out of the NFL draft of stuff that's been reported. UDFA grades. It's also undrafted free agents, so I don't think you can ever go below a B because worst case is you cut them and you spent $1,000 on them, which is like a rounding error for a franchise. A mailbag as well. Get your questions in via hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. I think we can get to Matt J's Super Chat here in just a second. It's a funny one there. This is on a lot of wide receiver talk I expect today for very good reasons. It's It's a big need. This Cowboys team is yet fully addressed. Matt Shea says, give me Iguodala. Remember that clip? Such a dumb clip of like, who's taking the last shot for the Warriors team? It was like, give me Iguodala. It's like, no, not Iggy. Great defender, though. Great defender. Just not the guy you want taking the last shot. Ray Allen? Sure, you can take the last shot. I forget what it was. They're all asking, like, who's taking the last shot? And, you know, everyone else goes, Ray Allen, Ray Allen, Ray Allen, Ray Allen. Ray Allen goes, the open man. All right, we're getting live here on today's show. Let's dive in. We're going to spend a lot, not all, of today's show on the wide receiver spot, the buzz and the updates and the rumors coming out of the NFL draft this year. First up is this question. Will the Cowboys get another good wide receiver? They don't need a wide receiver. They need a wide receiver too. 1 for yes, 0 for no. Sound off in the comments of today's show. I want to begin with reporting from ESPN's Todd Archer, who said the Cowboys were in talks for a trade before the NFL draft. That before the draft went on, they had conversations with a particular team about potentially adding a veteran wide receiver. Here's what Todd Archer had to say. Leading up to the draft, the Cowboys had discussions with an AFC North team regarding a veteran wide receiver, but nothing came to fruition, according to multiple sources. My expectation here, and I think like the logical connection that was made, is George Pickens. He's the one who had been mentioned in trade market conversations, that he was the one on the trade block that had been linked to the Cowboys, actually would be a wide receiver too. You know, maybe Rashad Bateman could end up being a possible option there. I'm not fully convinced on that one. I don't know if the Ravens want to move on from him. I think Pickens was the one that stood out. Seems like these talks very much died off before the draft got going. You could certainly revisit this now, whether it is for George Pickens or somebody else. I just don't see a lot of viable options on the Browns or Bengals, and Pickens is the one that certainly stands out here. There are issues with Pickens. Production-wise, impact-wise, if you just on the field stuff, like impact player at the wide receiver spot, he really helps you out. He fixes your wide receiver 2 spot for at least a year. He's also in a contract year. But even if you got 900 yards in 17 games, I think that's a huge boost versus what you had last year. And he's been a 800 really plus receiver over the course of his career, and only 14 games. He got to 900 last year. So impact talent-wise, no doubt he's your second best wide receiver if you were to trade for him. And he fits as a good player on the outside too. So would you trade for George Pickens? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. It is the pinned comment. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there. Y for yes, N for no. The idea of trading for Steelers wide receiver George Pickens does fix that glaring hole at the wide receiver 2 spot for the Dallas Cowboys. The talent, the impact, all of that makes sense. There are issues here, though. The biggest of which is just like, not the talent, but the other stuff that comes with George Pickens. I get the vibe that Brian Schottenheimer is a little bit closer to Jason Garrett in terms of what he's looking for character-wise. We're kind of going back to the RKG, the right kind of guy philosophy. Pickens can be a problem child. I mean, he gives up on some plays, doesn't put in the full effort, missed some meetings. It's kind of like early career Odell Beckham, where he's just a little bit too, frankly, immature. Mike Tomlin said he needs to grow up. Pickens got fined multiple times last year by the Steelers. He got called out publicly in the media. That stuff does scare me. I don't want to deal with a bunch of drama if I don't have to at the spot, especially at that likely cost. I would bet Pittsburgh wanted a second or third rounder for George Pickens. Cowboys were right to not pay that. I don't want to give that up when Pickens has 1 year left on his deal, so either going to pay him big money or let him leave in free agency, and that's not a path I really wanted to pursue either. So I am open to it, depending on the cost, but I would almost want to treat it more as like a 1 year trial rental than a full-on long-term investment. Now, the Cowboys 2025 NFL Draft gear is available, including the Tyler Booker rookie jersey. Go to chatsports.com/Cowboys Draft. You can secure the jersey. There should be other rookie jerseys being added in the not-too-distant future. And Cowboys Draft hats and hoodies and T-shirts and everything else in between. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's chatsports.com/Cowboys Draft. To continue along with the wide receiver 2 conversation, the Cowboys have publicly not closed the door on looking and trying to find and add more help at the wide receiver spot. Jerry Jones had this to say: it was definitely a big-time thought that the train has not left the station if improvement is needed from what we got on campus at wide receiver. Stephen Jones kind of mentioned that the other receivers, Tolbert and Mingo and Flanoy and Turpins, as those guys potential to be a number 2, but they're not there yet. They haven't done it. They have not hit that level yet. That's why we've had an interest in upgrading that room. But I think once you get to 3, 4, 5, the spots you try to fill, I think that receiving core checks all those boxes. Not often I say this, I do think Stephen Jones is right about the depth part. If you have insert actually credible wide receiver 2, and then Tolbert and Turpin and Mingo and Brooks and Flanoy and some combination of all these guys, that I have very few complaints about. You could have like maybe you try to upgrade still next year. Tolbert's going to be a free agent, whatever. I don't think you had to take any receiver because once you got to the 5th round, like you weren't going to find a 2. At that point, I don't think you're getting better than Turpin and Tolbert and Mingo and all those other guys. I think to an extent even, we're probably a little too negative on Jalen Tolbert. The way that this includes me, that we talk about this receiving core, it's I don't know. It's like we're trotting out that Allen Hurns group at wide receiver again, which I don't think we're quite at that level. But I do think an upgrade is needed. I don't think you can realistically just walk into next season with this receiving core as is and have faith the passing game is going to be good enough. It's just not, especially with the way Jake Ferguson played last year. But it is now April, almost May. Options are thin. The 2 names that stand out to me, and I'm sure most of you, are Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen. Both those guys have been receiver 2s. One of them has played for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll go more in depth on Cooper and Allen, Cooper in particular here. But of these 2, which one would you rather go sign? KA for Keenan Allen, AC for Amari Cooper. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Let's go with Allen, the veteran who has kind of spent a lot of his time with the Chargers. Last year was with the Chicago Bears. I think we've seen the decline set in for Keenan Allen, but I think he can still help you. I think he can still be a short-term 2. It's not the ideal outcome, don't get me wrong. The ideal outcome went off the board at number 8 overall to the Carolina Panthers. That's how it goes sometimes. But I do think Allen as a veteran option would help you out. Not the only veteran option that's out there still. Of note for Amari Cooper, Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reports that there is, quote-unquote, building team interest in an Amari Cooper reunion in Dallas. I would very much be down. I acknowledge Amari Cooper is not the player he was in his prime, and his numbers really dipped last year, although it is at times hard to have a trade and be successful and have multiple different quarterbacks you're catching passes from, and the drops went up. Most of those were in Cleveland. The biggest thing for the Amari Cooper side, if the Cowboys have more interest, great. Does Amari want to come back? That bridge, I think requires a decent amount of reconstruction. To have Amari Cooper be comfortable to come back to Dallas. That did not end well. I think Mike McCarthy was a factor in that. I don't think he was the only factor in that. I don't think there's any ill will between Cooper and the players and other people currently on the coaching staff. But, Cooper kind of got bodied and kind of kicked to the curb and not treated properly by the front office as well. They spent all that time bad-mouthing him and then tried to trade him, which is a terrible process. If you can convince Amari Cooper to come back, yeah. He's not the same guy he was the last time you saw him with the Dallas Cowboys. That's okay. I'm not going to pay him to be the same guy. I'm paying him a pretty probably limited amount of money to come be a stopgap option for me at wide receiver 2. Plus, he has the chemistry already. In the end, I am fully on board signing Keenan Allen, signing Amari Cooper, trying to find a trade piece at wide receiver, which I think is going to be even more challenging. But I am going to temper my expectations and say this part too. It is going to be a need again in 2026. We will be right back here next offseason trying to say, hey, got to get a better wide receiver 2 option. Just how it goes. And we will have more Cowboys videos for you each and every single day right here on the channel. We are 284 subs away from 214K. When Draft Grades does 500 subs, we could tend to jump up pretty quick. So thank you all who have subscribed already. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now. Now, Stephon Gilmore took a visit to the Dallas Cowboys before the NFL draft. I don't think there's any guarantee that he signs this time around. I do think the drafting of Stephon Revel, who should be good to go early in camp and good to go for week 1, it is coming off an ACL. I think there is a level of caution that must be approached with that. I think you are okay at corner. Trayvon Diggs is not going to be ready for week 1. Josh Butler is not going to be ready for week 1, but at this point you go 13 deep for now at corner. I think some cuts are going to be coming in the not too distant future. But if you're worried about having a viable outside starter, if Diggs and or Stephon Revel aren't ready yet, then I do think Gilmore makes sense. I don't believe that players just, randomly happen to visit and come to the area and go to the facility. Come on. Expect me to believe that? I don't. That does not pass my smell test. They did draft Revel. Big fan of that pick out of ECU. He should be good at week 1. Diggs will not be. So I think, if anything, maybe that was just a check-in of hey, come on, we'll see how you're doing. Look, what kind of medical shape are you and everything else there. And maybe he's on the just-in-case list. If, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen, if another corner goes down, Gilmore's at the top of the list for the Cowboys, I would think. So not promising it, not ruling it out. I think it's more of a wait-and-see situation. Mailbag time here on the Cowboys Report. 2 ways to get in on the show. Hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat to skip the line altogether. Use hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat to get in on the show. I think all the Super Chats we've got so far can very much just be part of the mailbag there. So get them in. Hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. By the way, I saw a $10 one come in from Kai. So Kai Trimble, if you have a name in mind, I will text it to my wife for Tom's second kid coming up here in the not too distant future. So it's very funny for me on a personal level, because I get through the draft and I go, okay, anniversary, got this coming up. Okay, got that. And all of a sudden it's just all the stuff I just push away for 2 months comes barreling down at me. So Super Chat menu, $5 Venmo. You are into the Micah decision pool. Take home right now on the Split the Pot is $10. $10 baby name submissions. You have a name in mind? I will text it to my wife, and we will see what it is. And her response, I'll read it out on air. $20 for the Bean Boozled, $50 for the Beer Bong, and the most hundreds in the month of April gets the DeMarvion Overshown jersey. As of right now, runaway leader is Nandor Bank, who's got a big time advantage over everybody else. So mailbag here on the Cowboys Report. First up is a super thanks from William Cook. This came in before day 2 of the draft. He said, proud receiver in the 2nd, running back in the 3rd. Didn't work out that way. They did stick to their board and take best available, though. Appreciate that, William. Even if I don't get to it because it's the draft or something else going on, we will always give you a shout-out if your super thanks comes in. Hit the heart with the $sign in it, edit your message, send in whatever, and we'll give you some love here on the show. This is a super thanks from Matthew Langley. How would you feel if the Cowboys picked up Isaiah Bond? I think in general, no one's going to sign Isaiah Bond right now. Isaiah Bond has an active, current sexual assault case against him. There's just no way you can justify picking him up right now. If and when that situation gets cleared, you can revisit, you can reevaluate, see what you want to do, figure out, is he worth it for you? Is he not worth it for you? I had already heard of character concern stuff before that came out on Isaiah Bond. I don't think that's a good thing to tack onto it. I had finished my grade on him before the case came out. I had a 4th-round grade on Bond. So I don't really think he solidifies and fixes your wide receiver 2 spot. But if he ends up being, no charges, proven innocent, everything else there, you can certainly revisit it. But right now, I don't think you can you can bring him in. That's why he's unsigned. As I film it on our Monday Live show, no one's picked him up because you just can't do that. Corey, so they have to get a wide receiver too, right? Please say yes. I'd be extremely disappointed and frankly upset if they were just like, this is fine. Because they have said they don't think it's fine. That's kind of what frustrated me is they're like, oh yeah, we did a great job addressing our needs. Well, you clearly didn't because you're talking about how you need a wide receiver too right now. So I would hope they go get a number 2 option. There's been some buzz from Nick Harris on Amari Cooper. The Pickens trade rumor stuff has been there. There's not a lot of viable options. You don't want to be reckless and just, don't trade your first, whatever. Like, learn some lessons there. If you trade a 4, make it for a good player this time. But yeah, they need to at least try to go get a wide receiver too. So name a receiver that you want to add. Let me know at the pinned comment of today's show. What receiver do you want to add? Jerome Nichols, how about a deal for Michael Mayer, the Las Vegas tight end? Then just sign whichever receiver Dak wants from Cooper or Allen. I think a good tight end would open things up more. I think that the answer here is I have some interest because I liked Michael Mayer coming out of college. Not sure what exactly was going on when he left the Raiders last year. I think my answer would be that the Cowboys are going to tell you that they think Jake Ferguson is going to look more like the 2023 version and less like the 2024 version. 2023 guy had 760 yards and 5 scores, and that's actually probably good enough for most teams at tight end. It was fringe top 10 numbers, frankly. So if they believe and trust Ferguson to be better, okay. I think of all the players on this team, I think the one that had the biggest impact to their stats with when Dak got hurt was Jake. I think he really missed having Prescott out there. $10, Kai Trimble. Tom, Cowboys moving Diggs to safety when he comes back. I am personally not worried about his tackling. It's enough to put the fear in the hearts of QBs trying to test us deep. I think he's a corner. I actually do think that the tackling's an issue at safety. It's one thing to have way outside on the left edge. It's not as good run stopping, but you got a bad tackling safety. It kind of concerns me. And you have to fit your run stuff. Even if you're not making the tackle, you got to be willing to take on blockers and doing pole stuff. You have to fit the run properly. I don't think Diggs is a safety. I don't think the tackling is good enough. And I think that if he's still going to play a lot of deep coverage. I'm keeping him at corner all the way. Lucid. I think we did pretty good. 3 first-rounders in Savone, Ezeraku, and Booker. That's a win in my book, and they didn't reach for a bad player. I think he's got another similar super thanks kind of on this. Cowboys went for best available, not a trash player. I think this was a good example of them just taking the best guy on their board. Maybe the running back wasn't the pure best guy on their board. Maybe that actually was like Shamar James. But they took the best player available. We can argue if that should have been the best player, but I will give them credit for kind of going back to form and not just reaching on, we got to get this spot. That's when they get themselves into trouble. I thought that, especially Ezeraku and Rebel, similar to my boards too, very highly ranked. Tony, trade for DJ Moore. I would look at the contract for DJ Moore for starters, but I would be very surprised. I get the Bears drafted Luther Burden, FU Chicago for that. The Bears just extended him. So if they were to, they do save money via trade. So I guess that is actually kind of doable. But I don't foresee the Bears being like, we're adding all this talent for Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams. Let's trade away our best wide receiver. I don't think that's a likely outcome. Try though. So will the Cowboys end up trading for a wide receiver? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Mike Nintendo Master, I like their first round pick. They need offensive line. And there was a lot of things that they needed. I think the unfortunate part is this team was gonna take Tedero McMillan, and Panthers sniped him. And then they I don't think the board fell the way that they wanted it to in the end. Emil Pedersen, I think the Cowboys will play in Europe soon. I would not be surprised. I think Mexico might be the first place they end up going. Jerry's always had a bit of an issue with giving up the home game, and I think that's a factor in why they haven't had a Super Bowl since then, by the way. I think if you're not playing ball with give a home game, playing overseas, growing the shield, you're not going to get a Super Bowl, even though they probably should have another one. I think it's actually kind of crazy that they haven't. So I think that's part of it there. I think whether it's this year, next year, I do think an international game will be coming at some point soon for the Dallas Cowboys. The Micah decision pool, by the way, is ongoing. You pick the date that Micah signs or gets traded. You can go to chatsports.com/Micah to see the entries in there so far. Venmo me at WhatGoingDowney, $5 to enter. The closest one gets the 50-50 split the pot payout. It signs, or I guess gets traded, should be signs, but no one has any May dates in there right now. So there's some value in the Micah decision pool. Matthew B. Tom, what about Tyreek Hill? Post June 1st, like the money becomes a bit more manageable for Miami, but you can't post June 1st they trade. You have to do it after June 1st. Kind of like the George Pickens stuff. I don't know if I want to deal with that. I don't know if I want to deal with all that hassle. There's just so much extra with Tyreek Hill. I know Micah would love it. I just worry about that being a negative in your locker room. Like, I don't want to have to do what my boy Nick Rolf does for Miami, be like, today, Tyreek Hill again, implying he was going to get traded. Like, I don't want to deal with that, I don't think the players want to deal with it. Austin DH3, based off stats, we had the fastest receiver, Turpin, Blue. Again, the 4.25 at his pro day, still a 4.38 per game regular. I think that was just the agent getting a faster time out there. That wasn't what most teams used. Hitting 2.23. Yeah, look, in the end, 4.25, 4.38, 4.35, whatever. He's fast. You do actually have some speed there in Turpin and Blue, especially help you out more in the short yardage area stuff with Turpin and, of course, with Blue as a back. We will have more Cowboys off-season coverage. Minicamp coming up here this weekend. We'll have updates for you on that. Hit the sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Christopher Snyder, would you look at the Packers for a number 2 wide receiver? I think you can call them. In many ways, though, I kind of feel like you're right back in the exact same spot you are right now. Like, it's not quite to the full extent, because I think that CeeDee Lamb is a way better receiver than Christian Watson. But I think a lot of the other Packers receivers, it's a little bit like the Spider-Man meme. Like Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks. It's the Spider-Man meme of Jalen Tolbert and Ryan Flanoy and Jonathan Mingo and all that kind of stuff. Like, Reed's kind of a gadgety player that isn't a pure receiver. Doubs is like Tolbert to me. There's not massive differences there. Dontavian Wicks hasn't been a huge part. They drafted Matthew Golden because they needed another wide receiver. Like, if you didn't have a 3, I would be calling Green Bay. I kind of think you still need more than what they would be willing to trade. I don't hate those options. Like, I think that I think Romeo Doubs right now is a better player than Jonathan Mingo, no doubt. But like, you can look at the numbers. Like, Doubs' best year is like the same as Jalen Tolbert's best year. Like, I actually don't know if they're any different. That just kind of feels like it's new than it is better. Skeptical fan says sign Gilmore and Cooper. By the way, I just don't think they're going to trade Christian Watson off the injury. So like, that one, yes, would be an upgrade, but I don't think he's actually available. I would be down. Gilmore, corner might not be a need. Maybe it is, but I think those are like 2 of the better available free agents that you could potentially sign. So with that in mind, name a player who you want to add. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Spaz, what about Jamison Williams at wide receiver 2? Yes, I will say this part. The fact that the Lions have publicly announced that they are going to pick up the second round or the 5th-year option on Jamison Williams makes me think he's actually not going to be traded. That's what that tells me. That was almost like a public declaration of, nope, this is our guy. We're not doing it. Steven GX, we think the minimum number of wins we're getting next season. I mean, look, the minimum could go crazy. Like, if you just get decimated by injuries and it turns out Joe Milton and Will Grier are bad backup QBs, and all of a sudden, like, that win number drops significantly. Like, if they're healthy, I have a tough time seeing this team not getting to minimum 6-7 wins, as difficult as that schedule might end up being. And I think the 10 to 11 win ceiling is kind of where you're at. 12 would be kind of a surprise to me. Which, like, doesn't that number sound very familiar to us over the past many of the years? I'm just going to go with consecrated here. I think the Cowboys are smart in their picks. Again, I like them. I think the receiver 2 spot, not filling that is not good for me. I think a big factor in that, though, is still the fact that, hey, that's an off-season failure almost as much as anything else. And maybe, heck, by the time this video is out, maybe they'll fix that wide receiver 2 spot. The Super Chat menu on today's show, $5 Venmo. I don't think I have any more. Let me double check that right now. Nope, that's fine. $5 Venmo, you are into the Micah decision pool. $10 baby name submissions. I will text my wife what baby name we have or you have in mind, then I'll read her response on air. $20 for the Bean Boozled. The Venmo, $50 or Venmo $5 for that. $50 for a beer bong as well. Most hundreds in April gets you the DeMarvion Overshown jersey. Brendan had a $5 super chat. This was actually also on trade for a Packers wide receiver. I don't know if he did that one in the mailbag or not. I think he actually did on accident. So it's funny how he had multiple Packers wide receivers comments. So yeah, thank you, Brendan. I think the Packers are going to be in the market for trading somebody. Christian Watson might miss all this season. Which at that point, it's like, they're going to ride with Golden and Dubs and Reed and Savion and Dontavian Wicks. And, it's an interesting group right there with, lesser guys, Malik Heath and Michael Hardman's there, which is kind of funny. I think that you need a receiver 2. And I think Green Bay drafted Matthew Golden because they don't really believe that Romeo Dubs is going to be a receiver 2 that's good enough for them. So I think you're kind of in a very similar spot when it's all said and done. All right, Chris, what's up here? You're cooking up something here.
You were talking earlier about you didn't know about the Browns trading with them for a wide receiver. What about Jerry Jeudy?
That's their only halfway decent wide receiver. That was one of the names it's a veteran receiver, but they also paid him. And as bad as that quarterback room is right now, I really don't think they want to trot out Cedric Tillman and Jamari Thrash as their top 2 receivers. Shit, if anything, they should be trying to go get Keenan Allen or something. That team needs a wide receiver. That's why people thought they were going to take Travis Hunter. Just play him at receiver the whole time. So, Wendell says, trusted Mingo. Okay. I mean, I also wasn't that high on Mingo coming out of Ole Miss. My issue with Mingo is I think he is I think he's a big slot, and I don't trust the Cowboys to deploy him properly. I think he will be better than what he was last year because Cooper Rush could not find him. He just did not put the money on him at all. So, I'm down to see what Mingo has as a wide receiver 3 battle with Jalen Tolbert, not as a potential wide receiver 2 option. So let's go to the viral question of the day. Who wins? 100 men or 1 gorilla? I have the right answer on this. I know what the answer is because my wife was a gorilla zookeeper. It's the gorilla. The gorilla wins. It's actually not even all that close. The gorilla is you will not be able to keep the gorilla down. Because the amount of men it would require to stack on top of each other to keep the gorilla down, the men are just going to fall off each other, / any movement they're just going to fall. And you're not going to be able to catch the gorilla, and you have no tools available. If it is just your bare hands, you're going to start trying to punch the gorilla. It's not really going to hurt the gorilla that much. His length is better. His strength is better. You're just not going to be able to. The gorilla wins in a landslide. The teeth, that gorilla is going to destroy you. You are cooked. Going to be a lot of dead men. And the first thing the gorilla will do is if the gorilla's in attack mode, it's just going to grab the first person and just swing him around. And then the gorilla gets a weapon of some type because he gets to use the person and just knocks them all down. Gorilla in a landslide. I don't think it's even. I think he's just going to dominate. So you can vote the men or the gorilla for the fun non-football poll of the day. All is well. Just tuned in. Is Isaiah Bond available? The answer here is actually maybe, because as we did mention it earlier, but Isaiah Bond has an active sexual assault case against him, so you can't sign him. You can't. That's why he went undrafted. I had a 4th round grade on him. There were already character concerns. Like, you can't touch him right now. Once the legal system plays out, then you can potentially revisit, and teams can kind of do their due diligence and try to figure out what they think actually happened. But until that legal stuff plays out, you can't do it. You can't. Lucid, $2. Imagine Tom versus a gorilla. Fatality, instant. That is not. It's not a good thing. It's not. I'm just gonna try to run. Like, you don't even try to take on the gorilla, or chimp. You don't take on the chimp either. Chimp's gonna claw your face off. No, don't do it at all. Do not do it at all. So my wife used to get mad because we would bring up who wins, a shark or a gorilla, or a bear, or like a bear versus shark stuff, and it was just like, yeah, it's not how it ends up going. She never really liked that one all that much, so she always get bothered by those. So thank you for the super chat there as well. Let me do one thing. Got some more super chats to come in here as well. Let me pull this up. Hold on, I gotta do double check, make sure I'm not missing anything here. All right, who wins 100 men versus 1 gorilla? We got a couple different super chats coming up here. I guess it is time for me to spin the wheel. We have a $20 super chat. We get to eat whatever disgusting Bean Boozled flavor is left at this point, because they're all kind of the same at this time. Simply says, what about John Mechie from Houston? They added 2 receivers early in the draft, so it's a potential when he sees playing time. On Mechie. Again, this kind of falls into isn't that just another version of Jonathan Mingo in the end? Isn't it kind of, you're doing the same thing? Mechie was in a 2022 draft pick, had the unfortunate cancer stuff. He's got 412 career yards. That just kind of is like another flyer for another element that you've already added to an extent. So I don't think it fixes anything. It gives you another potential lottery ticket, but I kind of don't want a lottery ticket. I kind of want something a little bit better than that. Also thinks that Dallas look at J.J. Weaver, the UDFA out of, this is once again, landed on berry blue and toothpaste, and we don't have any more of those. So I guess I should spin again. Boy. I got a whiff of that. That's bad. At some point, we should just throw this out. Also mentioned J.J. Weaver. I don't think J.J. Weaver is signed anywhere. I don't think. I know he won the Jason Witten Man of the Year award, but I don't think he's signed anywhere yet. He did his pro day stuff. Did not test good at the pro day. Oof. That's bad testing at the pro day. But I don't mind that one, but I think they're in okay shape. Tutti Frutti or Sneaky Socks? That one. They've all just congealed into one taste. I think it's Stinky Socks, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's all just stale and gross. I don't know. Spaz says, you must not know Brock Lesnar or Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold's 77. He's the first one to die against the gorilla. He ain't getting out there. He's in great shape for a 77-year-old. Brock Lesnar's almost 50. Honestly, he's strong, but you might need speed. There's no way. I don't know if we can show that one. I won't read it, but you can show it. How about that? Only the other day was real bad. But yeah, there you go. But a lot of these are in reference to the 100 men or one gorilla. Lesnar can be on your team, but maybe it's John Jones is the one that is the main guy. You need a lot of psychos, and that's like the best 100 men we have to offer, and like at least half of them are still going to die, which is not a fun place to be. So we'll get to our final segment here coming up now on the Cowboys Report. Then we'll come back to Dwayne Johnson's super chat here in just after that, I should say. Let's talk UDFA grades for the Cowboys. Just like draft grades, we'll do it for the undrafted free agents as well. The Cowboys right now signing 9 of them. They'll probably do some minicamp invites. They'll have to get a quarterback in there to throw the ball around when they do that over the weekend coming up here. Look, undrafted free agents, there's no risk. There's like no money involved. As far as I'm concerned, you can't give them lower than a B. It's too easy. Like there's no downside to it, even if the upside isn't nearly as high. So how many undrafted free agents do you think make the Cowboys roster this year? Is it 0? Up to 9, I guess, is the maximum. You know, they've got a pretty good track record, but it is a smaller class this year because the roster spots, which they need more of actually, are not quite available. Let's talk Cowboys undrafted free agents. Just the names in case you missed our video on this on Sunday afternoon. Traeshon Holden, Josh Kelly, a pair of wide receivers, Oregon and Texas Tech respectively. 2 tight ends, Rivaldo Fairweather, Tyler Neville. 1 linebacker who's got some safety stuff in there, Justin Barron out of Syracuse. Bruce Harmon from Stephen F. Austin. Elijah Clark, Zion Childress, and Mike Smith Jr., all safeties, which makes sense because the Cowboys had 4 safeties, several of whom are simply not going to play in the preseason. So they needed just bodies. A couple of these guys are just going to solely end up being camp bodies, but gives them a real chance to make the practice squad because of the sheer lack of depth at this time. So again, I don't think you should ever go below a B when it comes to a UDFA class. The worst case is it's bad and nobody cares. Best case is it's great and you get the next, Dan Bailey, Miles Austin, Tony Romo. Shit, if you get 4 Terrence Steeles, you should be pretty pumped about that. Grade the even 1 Terrence Steele. Grade the Cowboys UDFA class, and then I'll go player by player. A, B, C, D, or F. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. We'll go by position. I'm going to start with Traeshon Holden, and I'll give this one an A. I don't think Holden ends up making the roster, but there's a lot of back end of the roster wide receivers right now that I think he can carve out a practice squad spot for. This is one of the top receivers I did not get to. There is an obvious connection here with new wide receivers coach Junior Adams. I think the size is appealing. It's 6'2", 205. He's not some type of freaky athlete. I think the separation is a bit of a concern, but he offers some good play strength and physicality. And I think being back with Junior Adams probably ends up being a good thing for him as well. Josh Kelly, the Texas Tech wide receiver, not to be confused with Joshua Kelly, the former Tennessee back, offers not as much size. He's a little bit lighter. He's just under 6'1", 186. Far better production, though. 1,000-plus yards for Texas Tech. I think he's pretty solid after the catch, doing some good stuff for some physicality, kind of plays above his weight class. The speed, which was very much backed by a 4.7 40, is a real red flag. But every year there's a wide receiver, a UDFA that becomes everyone's pet cat. So I would fully expect when we get through rookie minicamp, OTAs, early in camp, preseason, one of these guys probably flashes. Tight ends, first up, Rivaldo Fairweather. I'll give it an A-. I think he's the better of the 2 tight ends that the Cowboys picked up. Famous last words. Still kind of raw. Has some good length on him. Like I think he's it's under 6'3.5", 242 with 34-inch arms. Like that's like a short, stocky, built tight end that maybe can almost kind of play some of that Princeton Fant H-back role stuff for you if you can develop him as a blocker. I think he needs some development there. I think he's a practice squad candidate. So I want honest answers here. Now, I bet there's a lot of Big 12 people here. I think there's probably some familiar with Josh Kelly and others. How many of these undrafted free agents had you heard of? 0 to 9. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Tyler Neville, the Virginia tight end who was at Harvard before this. Again, kind of a smaller build. He's 6'3", 239, not nearly as long as Fairweather is. Didn't put up the same level of production. Fairweather didn't do a lot of it either. Neither guy was overly involved. I think at Auburn, the quarterback play was really bad, so I think that kind of limited Fairweather a little bit. Better athlete, though. Fairweather was almost right on the nose as an average athlete at wide receiver. Neville is a little bit more above average based on his testing. Justin Barron, I'm very intrigued by. I'm going to give this one an A. He's kind of played. He was a receiver to start his career, and bulked up. He's now just under 6'4" at 225. Doesn't have great length, just over 31 inches. Was kind of a receiver turned safety / box linebacker. The reason I am actually very intrigued with this, I think I give him one of the top 2 chances to make the Cowboys roster, frankly. Maybe top 3. There's 2 safeties I think have a chance at it here. Justin Barron is a special team stud. 949 special team snaps. That type of thing is enough to get you that 53rd spot on the roster. He'll fight with guys like Buddy Johnson, maybe with Damone Clark too, I think is looking a bit dicey long-term at his roster spot, even for this year. Adding someone like Barron as a potential special teamer, I like doing that in the undrafted free agency process. Bruce Harmon, who I think probably got a workout at Dallas Day. Pretty sure he's a Dallas Day guy. He's from Rockwall, Texas, so he should have been. Probably had a good workout, tested super well, ran a 4.44 40-yard dash. Great level athlete there. 31-inch arms is less than the Cowboys typically like. Has done some inside-outside stuff. Maybe he fights with like Kamon Hall for the practice squad spot as like the backup nickel corner. Maybe that's his role for this team. Plus, maybe makes an impact on special teams. The Tyler Booker rookie jerseys, as well as other 2025 NFL draft gear, is available at chatsports.com/CowboysDraft. We'll put that link in the comment section and the description for you guys of today's show. Hats, the hoodies that are available this year, and, of course, the Tyler Booker rookie jersey. Other rookie jerseys should be coming in the not-too-distant future. So go get yours today. Again, links in the comments and the description. Chatsports.com/CowboysDraft. Of the 9 UDFAs, Elijah Clark was the one I did pre-draft notes where everyone else had to do stuff afterwards. This is a position flex guy. He's played almost equal reps of free safety, strong safety, and nickel corner. He is a solid athlete, not an elite athlete, but well above average here. There is some special teams value. 346, there's room for more there. Does miss too many tackles. I don't think the size and power are particularly great at safety. But I think being able to do a little bit of everything is beneficial to a team, is beneficial to a roster. I had a 7th/UDFA grade on him, so what you did, you signed him as a UDFA. I think these safeties in general, because you're not going to play Donovan Wilson, you're not going to play Malik Hooker, who knows how much, if any, you'll play of Wanye Thomas, Marquise Bell. These safety pickups are the names we'll be talking about a little bit more in the preseason, I suspect. So I gave Clark the A. I gave Zion Childress an A-. Clark offers more playmaking. And he had an interception this past year. He's got TFLs. He's got that stuff. Childress doesn't fully. And it's not like Clark has a bunch more playmaking ability. I think just a little bit more, a little bit higher on the pass breakups. Childress has only broken up 5 passes the past 2 years. Clark did that alone in his first season. Or his last season, I should say, at Syracuse. He also struggles with missed tackles, but has more special teams snaps over the course of his career. So not as good as Clark, but, again, by no means bad. We will have you covered with all the latest Dallas Cowboys news and rumors and updates and draft and trades and free agency and all the other stuff in between. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Last player is Mike Smith, the FCS All-American at Eastern Kentucky. Began his career at App State and then ended up here or at EKU and then goes to the Dallas Cowboys. I think he's a little bit stiff in the lower body, which does concern me. But he's also bigger. So this is a different style of safety. Clark is 188. Childress is 199. Smith is 209. So I bet he gets more box safety reps for this Cowboys team during the course of the 2025 preseason and training camp there. I think to an extent, about a little bit more, to an extent, some shades of Donovan Wilson of like he's bigger, but he plays downhill. I don't love him necessarily. Even though he played a lot of free safety, I wonder if he fits better as more of a strong safety or split safety, downhill type. So I think, again, these safeties are going to play a role for the Cowboys in the preseason. I think all three of them probably jumped in going, hey, if I impress, I can at least make a practice squad here. Dwayne Jackson, what about Quentin Johnston from the Chargers? Again, isn't this – the production was better this year for Quentin Johnston. Isn't this kind of like the same thing? Like somewhat highly drafted player. Chargers took Trey Harris because they're like, yeah, we need more than just Johnston as our number 2 wide receiver. I think we will do trade targets here. Johnston will be on there. And again, he was better this season. He took a step forward, but I don't know if that's like a true long-term, sizable impact and fix for what you're searching for. Robert Simmons, I like to see more Ryan Flanoy. He was good in the preseason. I think he's going to get a chance as it sits right now. Part of me wonders if what the Cowboys would prefer is to, hey, here we go. Let's let Flanoy and Mingo and Tolbert all battle for wide receiver 3. We'll move on from Tolbert next year. Maybe get another wide receiver 2, but at least have one of those guys step up as the wide receiver 3 in 2026 as well. So before we go, grade the Cowboys draft class. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off before we sign off here. Oh, that's a good line. I like that one. I'll have to use that one again in the future. 44% say A, 47% say B, 6% say D, 2% say D or F. Let me know in the pin poll. I had it as a B+, so I think we're mostly all in agreement there. Sound off, and we will sign off here. We'll have more Cowboys news, rumors, updates for you guys all off season long. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now.